On to the Trayvon Martin shooting investigation. George Zimmerman has hired a second attorney this morning to help prepare a defense if he needs a defense. That attorney, Hal Uhrig, told WOFL-TV in Orlando that he is ready for the challenge.
You know, if you look at the forces arrayed basically against George, if you look at the media, particularly the national media, you look at the state attorney's office, the special prosecutor, FDLE, the U.S. Justice Department, and Craig has been standing in there tall, trying to stand up for this guy. I think it's time that we have just a little bit more effort put into putting the truth out and getting George's story out.
And in the meantime, we have the results of an analysis of that controversial 911 call that George Zimmerman made the night that Trayvon was shot. At issue, did he use a racial slur just moments before he shot and killed Trayvon Martin?
Alina Cho joins us now with all of the details. We get to hear it for ourselves.
That's right, and it's really difficult to hear. I mean, even when we play it back several times, and you'll hear it in just a moment. Good morning. You know, we do want to begin with that 911 call, very controversial. Remember, this is the phone call that George Zimmerman made on the night of the shooting, before the shots rang out. In it, he can be heard mumbling something. Now, some people say they hear him using a racial slur here, but candidly, as I mentioned, very, very hard to hear exactly what he's saying. Listen carefully to the very end of this clip.
He's running. Which way is he running?
Down towards the other entrance of the neighborhood.
Okay. Which entrance is that he's heading towards?
The back entrance.
What you hear is a lot of wind, right? Really hard to hear. So what exactly did George Zimmerman say there? We asked forensic expert Tom Owen to enhance and analyze that portion of the audio to see what he could glean. Now, Owen says that he believes Zimmerman did not use a racial slur, but instead said, effing close. We're going to play it for you again. This time, Owen's cleaned up version, and you're going to hear it 3 times. Listen. Well, if you're listening for it, sure, it may sound like that, but we wanted to bring in another forensic expert. His name is Ed Primo, and he did his own analysis of the very same clip. He sent us his version. He also enhanced it, and he says he believes that Zimmerman did use a racial slur. Listen to that version, and again, we're going to play it for you 3 times. So hard to decipher. You know, the reason why people are paying attention to this, of course, is the reason why the whole nation is paying attention to this story. Did Zimmerman use a racial slur, as Trayvon Martin's supporters say he did? And if he did, of course, for those supporters, this could bolster the argument that this was a racially motivated crime, that this was a hate crime. So, you know, but very difficult to hear, very difficult to decipher. You've heard it now 7 times. Hard to say.
I even closed my eyes to see if maybe I could just focus a little bit more. It is very difficult to understand. I want to talk a little bit about a friend of Zimmerman's that appeared on Soledad's show and what he said about crime in that community.
That's right. And again, you know, everybody's taking small details of this story and using it to bolster whatever side they're on, right? So we did speak to a man Soledad did earlier this week named Frank Taaffe, neighbor of George Zimmerman. He lives in the community, a former neighborhood watch block captain. And here is what he said to Soledad about crime in the area. Watch.
We had 8 burglaries in our neighborhood, all perpetrated by young black males in the 15 months prior to Trayvon being shot. One of those, it would have been 9, there would have been 9, but George Zimmerman, through his efforts of being a neighborhood watch captain, helped stop one in progress. Documented in the 9/11 calls February 2nd, my house was being robbed, and George, on his nightly rounds, watched this burglary in progress, called Sanford PD, waited for him, and helped ensure that nothing bad happened to my house.
So if you listen carefully, you heard this man, Frank Taaffe, said that Zimmerman stopped a robbery in progress. Did he? CNN did some digging into this, and according to Sanford police records, there were 8 robberies in that housing development in the 14 months prior to Trayvon's shooting. 4 of them involved black male suspects. Another 4 unidentified suspects. Now, there is also this 911 call dated 3 weeks before Trayvon was killed. Police were called to an address that matches that man, Frank Taaffe's address, after the caller said that they saw a black male near the home. But when police got to that address, nobody was there.
Just one more piece of the puzzle that hopefully ultimately will be built for this case.
That's right.
If it ends up as a case.
As if it
Lena
does.
Cho, thank you for that.
You bet.
It's now 10 minutes past 6 on the East Coast, and still ahead, Mitt Romney